Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back with another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Monday, April 9th, and it seems like we're not getting any free packs anymore. Which is a shame because that probably means that I missed out on at least one or two per account as far as free packs. In fact, I'm almost 100% certain that that's the case. Now, we're on the Asian account right now, so maybe the American account will still allow us to get free packs. It's a little weird that that promotion did not run directly into the ability for the new expansion to be purchased. Like, you're kind of cutting yourself off at the feet um, by doing that. So, like, I don't know what Activision Blizzard is thinking here. It seems crazy. I need to play Paladin cards. I need to win 3 games with Warrior. And see, that might be a tradable one. So let's just play Paladin and Rogue cards. Do we have decks that are full of Paladin cards? Well, that's not full of Paladin cards. Let's see. This is not completely full of Paladin cards. So let's get rid of this and make a Paladin deck. It'd be kind of nice today if we could have a quicker experience. Certainly having a lot of trouble with Darksiders 2. I've come to pretty much a decision that if you've played Darksiders 2, replaying it a second time is probably the worst thing you could do to hype yourself up for Darksiders 3. It is an incredibly long attempt at making a game that feels a lot like World of Warcraft. I feel like they may have even intentionally at some point wanted to make it a MMO. And I guess we can play ranked. There's no reason not to. And at some point they realized they couldn't get the netcode in there, so then they just left it as this single player loot based game where you would run around and get collectibles. Compare that to Borderlands 1. Borderlands 1 has multiplayer online. You can certainly play the game, and I would argue you probably for your first playthrough want to play Borderlands by yourself, so you see all the content and don't have people completing quests when you're not anywhere close to that quest or don't even know what's going on, which is something that can happen. That can also be a great way to grind in Borderlands because you can have 4 people online all running into different parts of a relatively large map trying to get quests done. In fact, there's some interesting speed runs built just around that. Let's see. I need to play cards, and so as we can play cards, we'll play cards, and then end the turn. Darksiders 2, there's no online co-op play. There's nothing. There's tons of little sections that are separated out as there are these mini dungeons, which could have been put into something closer to 6 or 7 very large dungeons, and I would have appreciated that more. And there's a lot of open area sections that don't have any enemies in them, which is crazy because the first game had smaller areas with more enemies. So I don't know why in the world you would transfer the fact that that in the first game there was a lot of enemies in sort of small open areas that were fine, and transfer that to less enemies and more square footage of land. The whole game feels like there might have been 8 different teams not communicating with each other. Systems don't really work together. You have this you have two very specific types of selectable abilities. You have one that is built around 4 main things that you need to get through the game. Certain dungeons are going to require you to use these abilities to solve the puzzles, and then you have 6 other things that are just attack or defense abilities, and you'd normally be okay with that, except for the fact that because you only have this menu selection or 4 buttons on the, not even the D-pad, you have to hit left bump and then it's A, B, X, Y. Or you can quick assign one of potentially 10 actions. And eventually I just had to get down to the point where I need to assign 2 of those to actual fighting actions and 2 of those to actually actual transversal important abilities. The fact that there's not a selection wheel or something that would better explain or fix the issues of how you select attacks. A lot of those attacks could be triggered automatically. They could be triggered by hitting right bump. They could be triggered on the D-pad. You still, to this point, press up on the D-pad and it seems like it does nothing. So I should probably go back into the menu and see if I can just assign up on the D-pad to do something as its own separate ability. That could be helpful, I suppose. Even if maybe it is the case that BioShock was the first game to ever have selection wheels where you hold down a bump button and you have wheels that you pick your attacks real quickly. Maybe that is the case. The camera's still very much a mess in the game, and you can't really control it while you're in the middle of battle, which is exactly when you would need to control it. So there's been scenarios I've noticed where I'm in the middle of a large fight and the camera's in the wrong place. I can't see my own character. I can't see the enemy. And there's sort of a lock on, but it doesn't really lock the camera on. It just kind of tells you the level. We fought a big spider in a dark, empty cave that the War Mastered Edition did nothing new with it. I really don't feel like the remaster has done anything for Darksiders 2. Now 20 hours in, and mostly it's just poor pacing that's driving me crazy in this game. It's very, very poor pacing, going on forever. It's been 9 days since I started playing Darksiders 2. I'm getting 2.5 hours, maybe, of gameplay every day. That's about all I can stand. I've certainly also been distracted again, did some more Lego. Not really surprising when you're playing a game that's not that good. And the worst thing by far is they've got me now thinking, because of Darksiders 2 being so long, and certainly the first game wasn't this long, they've got me wondering if maybe I just can't even afford to play Borderlands 2. The whole point was to play Darksiders 2 and then go play Borderlands 2. I don't know if I can play 2 incredibly long games. I wouldn't have made 30-minute episodes had I known it was going to go this long. But that's fine, too. Like, in the end, getting more and longer footage while we're trying to ride out whatever is happening with YouTube to get back to a point where we could be monetized and get viewers and get some income, like, or just try and be further in the future anyways, it's fine. With, I suppose, Rampage now out in theaters, to my knowledge, I don't believe there's really another video game movie coming out anytime soon. So any kind of tie into that seems unnecessary. E3 is going to happen, and that will start filling the plate of announcements of new games and such. So that might help too. I could have really used to play some game like Minute. Like, I've seen more people play it now, and I really do want to play it. Which is kind of funny because I've changed from not being really interested in playing Minute to being rather interested in it just by seeing some actual gameplay, seeing some of the tricks. Mostly what has caught my attention is spoiler stuff for not a very long game. But it would have been a great game to just take a break and play for a while in between. It seems like it's 5 to 6 hours in Darksiders 2 before you get a new ability. So you're spending a lot of time. A lot of time that's of really poorly paced time. It's frantic. You go through one room, you get attacked by what I would say is not enough enemies playing on easy. Probably should have played it on normal at this point, but there is a lot of problems with telling people here are your 5 difficulty levels, but we're not going to really explain or give you a demo. It'd be really nice if all games had just like one demo fight on a certain difficulty, or you know, just the ability to change the difficulty at any time. In my experience, doesn't seem like it's too far away from most people who played Darksiders 2 Definitive Edition. It was probably 10 hours ago that I had already I was already down to like 2/3 of the people who own this game haven't made it this far. I'm now down to like 10%, a really low number. Like, so let's see, let's give this Divine Shield, I guess, and then do this, and then we'll do this, and we won't do that, we'll just wait. Now it's kind of understandable if a lot of people got the definitive edition, DATH definitive edition. They probably had paid the original game already, and so like the original version could explain why people wouldn't really want to play it a second time, even though the game itself is designed to be played a second time and third time. Like, there's an achievement for reaching level 30. It's a little unbelievable you would make it to level 30 in one gameplay, because it's hardly a game built around just handing levels to people. There's achievements for defeating it on every difficulty level. There's an achievement for getting all the other achievements. There's achievements for collecting 3 different forms of collectibles. There's just a lot of stuff that not very many people are going to get to. So I am under no delusion that I'll get a 100% achievement rank on Darksiders 2, but I'm every recording session I have is built around, I can't believe we're not closer towards the end. I don't even know if I'm 2/3 of the way through the game. I could be even less than that. The storyline suffers a lot when you're playing as the Horseman of Death, and every single character is giving you these ridiculous fetch quests, and Death never really complains about it, and never really feels like he is under any kind of influence, or like it feels like Death could probably just beat into submission half of the people that are sending him on quests and take whatever he wanted. It feels like that would be the closer to character response. That's definitely what you would expect War from the first game to do, is to be this angry person. Like in the first game, there's a quest where you need like the heart of 3 demons, so you're sent on the quest to go kill these demons, and so you get through bigger dungeons than Darksiders 2, better dungeons than Darksiders 2. There was like the spider section was a little small, certainly, but they still keep the dungeons in Darksiders 2 small, too small. There's several dungeons that are just transitional dungeons where you enter one door, go through them, exit the other door, and then you have a fast travel point, so you never really have a reason to travel through them again, except for the fact that we pretty well know that there is a extra ability that's going to teleport you, and you're going to have to run all around the game a second time with that teleport ability to get a bunch of collectibles. Maybe you don't actually have to do that, but very little of this game feels like it's optional. Like, you're either going to just incidentally get the side quest done, or you're going to totally not see sections. There could have been a couple dungeons, I guess, in the Forge Lands, which is kind of the first half of the game that didn't even need to exist. It would have been rather nice if the game had just started in the Land of the Dead. There was a couple dungeons in the Forge Lands, though, that you didn't really need to enter at all. So maybe there's a speedrun strat that most people wouldn't see. We're making good progress here. We're not getting any victories, 0 and 2, but that's fine. The only real victory I was expecting that I might get would be a quick disconnect. That's enough talking about Darksiders 2, because I feel like I've talked about it and said the same thing several times. I really want to get that game done. I probably need to schedule some things. I probably, like, there's a chance that things might not air on time just because I'm not looking and seeing what the schedule times are. It's also kind of hard to care about running a channel when your channel feels like it is, where there's just like a very low viewership and no real monetization policy other than getting people to potentially gift me games, which that certainly hasn't happened as much as I would like. I didn't really expect it to either. Like, in all honesty, if people are going to gift me games and that's going to be the monetization policy, that doesn't work in the long run, because I'll just have way more games. Like, if 5 people were giving me a $60 game every month, that's probably more games than I could cover in a month. It would start to push the channel in a very different direction, in which we would just do spotlights or quick looks of games and not actually play them all the way through. Let's move on to news. The You Don't Know Jack game is coming back for the Jackbox Party Pack 5, which I guess this might be the first time that it's come back since the You Don't Know Jack game is from like in 2013. So it's gonna be also Fibbage, Quiplash, Drawful. Like, I'm trying to see what the real deal is here with this. So, I think this trailer spends the first minute of 1 minute and 40 seconds teasing some kind of like media service, fake media service to then break in and go, hey, we've got a new You Don't Know Jack game. You don't know Jack if you don't know it. Is just kind of a edgy, like, comedic quiz game, 4 players usually. I suppose maybe it will get raised up to more than 4 players this time, maybe. And they ask you questions and you get money. Let's see. It says, oh, I need to zoom into this page, make it larger. Yeah. 8 player support, bigger, crazier Jack attacks. Jack attacks are speed questions, new question types, audience integration, brand new fart sounds, streaming features, begrudging meme references, new ways to screw your other players, a lot of old fart sounds too, more than one Fraser joke for some reason. So yeah, that's interesting. I bought a lot of the original You Don't Know Jack games, thinking that would be a way to make quick and easy content, asking answering questions, and it does kind of have a TV show, like a quiz show feel, making content for covering them, but it still takes the same amount of time. It still takes about 30 minutes to cover one game of You Don't Know Jack, and there's so many random iterances that it didn't really help. So yeah, it's a quiz show with a little bit of dirtiness into it. In like the Jackbox series of games, like I still have that Jackbox series, Jackbox Party Pack 3 that I spotlighted installed because I figured eventually one day I would get all of the daily quests done early and still have a lot of news to do, and maybe we'd get some people online and try to do it, since only one person needs to have the game installed and everybody else can play on their phone. You can actually play this live, or at least slightly live, because the questions, like, I think also show up on your phone, so live streaming should work still, but I wouldn't be surprised if it actually doesn't work that well. So it's a little something to be excited about if you like quiz. I would argue that You Don't Know Jack is probably the best quiz game out there, if you can, as long as you can enjoy or / put up with the dirty joke parts of it. if you just want a clean by the books quiz trivia game, I'm not sure that there's anything that does it in a good quality way that would make it sense for this to be a video game, where you could probably just get Trivial Pursuit and play in real life, or find some kind of online source. Our first game for Steam is called The Adventures of Clive McGullen on Planet Zeta 4. Has 3 reviews, came out April 6th. It's from a developer who has only one game. 20% off for $3.99. It looks like a platformer. Graphics look old school and a little bad, but it also seems like that might be slightly intentional, but also not excusable. Looks like something you might see for like Commander Keen type games. The 3 reviews are all positive, which is a little bit suspicious. It does have this gravity flipping mechanic where you're walking upside down on platforms, but a lot of this looks like either it's assets that have not been pre-rendered, or just very poorly animated assets. It's definitely an 8-bit style of animation, and I think it's probably just too expensive. Even though it looks better than your average bad game, it's too expensive to give a try to. We see a lot of that in games too on Steam. It's just there's so much here. I would say 99% of all games I've looked at so far have had this ability to just been ignored. But maybe I still think I want to cover them. I'm really hating the fact that I'm not getting a card pack for that. And it really didn't warn me, other than saying make sure you did it, you get that done. It didn't say make sure you get all your quests done before tomorrow or in 3 days or anything like that. And it didn't tell me a specific date. So I feel like Hearthstone bamboozled me. Is this all row cards? Not all row cards. So we'll just delete this. And we'll do this. And then we'll choose some row cards. And have 30 row cards to play. I wish there was an option where you could turn off gold cards completely. But I guess the way you would do that is you turn them to dust, and that's not what I'm doing on the Asian account. There we go, 30 row cards. Ready to play, and might as well play ranked and go. Next game we have is called Zyternion, Zyternion. No reviews, came out the 6th. It's the only game from the developer. 10% off for $4.49. Let's look at the trailer and see what it looks like. It looks like a very, like, I don't even know if you could call this 8-bit, if not pre-8-bit. Like, it looks like an old arcade game, something you would see on an Atari pre-NES era graphics, with a crazy name that I can't pronounce. Yeah, I don't see any reason why anybody would want to play this game for any price. Let's see. Does it have any single player? No, it's local multiplayer only. So it's 4 players. 1 suspicious positive review. Like, honestly, if you're a new developer, you gotta hit it out of the field. You really do. You gotta come out with something like Enslaved Odyssey to the West. Some kind of character, some kind of game like that. Maybe Life is Strange is another great example of where I would expect something. Headlander might be another game that you'd think it doesn't all have to be 3D and great graphics, but it does have to be some kind of visual appeal that looks way better than the average. And all I see over and over again is average. I cannot play what I would like to play, so I'll just do this. I guess I could have probably played this, attacked him, and then attacked with that. Let's see. PC Gamer, this is not really video game related, but they've decided to expand and arguably infiltrate. Like I talked about this phrase where people with a political agenda, which I feel like some people, if not all the people at PC Gamer, do. They try to infiltrate certain niches and then gain some power and then change it. That is a very, very cynical way to say what's happening, but I kind of also believe it to be true. So they've now made a board games channel, so they're expanding out. Is it going to be let's see. It's a channel, as in their webpage now has board games. Let's see how this works. Yeah, they have magazine, board games, podcast, meet the team. It's under the more thing. They also have reviews, hardware. So you're gonna start seeing probably a decent amount of cross promotion trying to promote their board games channel. Board games, I mean, if you really want to talk infiltration, Will Wheaton and Geek and Sundry, which is now a completely failed YouTube channel that has really nobody on it. Felicia Day, I don't know if she's just difficult to work with or what, but she seems to get kicked out of everything that she's in. Like, she was on Supernatural as this character. That character got killed off. And then she really didn't act in anything. She was in a terrible movie or two. She's on the TV series The Magicians for a couple episodes. That seems like all she can get as far as work. But she was allegedly, the truth came out eventually that it wasn't the truth. She was allegedly the founder of Geek and Sundry with Will Wheaton. Turned out, no, that's not really the case. That actually it was a Chinese company that started Geek and Sundry, and it's the same company that owns like the Nerdist. But Will Wheaton is a big old SJW, and his board game show, which I liked the first season of, but it doesn't come out with any kind of frequency, and I'd really liked it in despite of Will Wheaton. In fact, the series would have worked fine with any group of people. You do have a diminishing return with board games, though. Also, it caught my interest for about one season until I realized I have nobody in my life that plays board games. including myself. I would think, and my big issue always with PC gamers, they have this name which gives them undue authority. And I guess that's just good branding at some point. Like, a lot of people come to PC Gamer, I feel like, just because it's called PC Gamer. And then they don't really do a good job reviewing video games. They choose to cover a lot of games just to be advertisement shills. They are way too nice to the video game industry. So I wouldn't be surprised if their board games channel is them being very nice and not very critical to board games and just pushing people to buy more of that. I mean, there might even be a slight desire to weaken the video game industry because, like, the movie and music and every other industry doesn't like the fact that video games are so strong. Some evidence to that now is Grand Theft Auto 5, which I can't believe so many people have bought it, is now the most profitable entertainment property ever, beating movies, music, anything. Like, it's made more money than anything else. So yeah, I won't be watching PC Gamer's board game channel. I could not care less. I really shouldn't even be looking at their articles, but it's a weird trade-off in which you have to pick the devil you know versus looking at, say, Kotaku or Polygon or IGN or GameSpot, where those are even more annoying Twitter feeds to follow. Next story we have from PC Gamer is Vermintide 2 dials back the difficulty with its latest update. So if you're playing Vermintide 2 and you felt like there was some extreme spikes in difficulty, which is what the feedback was, I suppose, the newest patch is going to try and fix that. I'm sure everybody, well, honestly, when you change the difficulty in anything, I'm sure half of the people are happy about that and half of the people aren't. And that's really more of a reason to wait until a game is finished, but you really can't wait for a game like Vermintide since it's one of these online multiplayer experience games. Like that's definitely part of the reason why I don't like things like Destiny, is you never really get the perfect experience. If there is a Game of the Year edition of Call of Duty, so many people have either become experts at the game you can't win, or so many people have gotten bored with the game and left, you can't have the experience that you want. The best you can do is pre-order these games and suffer through bugs and glitches and then complain about it. And any hobby where one of the steps built in is complaining about it is not a great thing. Apparently, this one of the developers, that a friend of one of the developers or somebody that one of the developers I follow retweeted this, and they changed their name from like something very positive to Love is Dead, which it almost felt like they went through a bad breakup and now they're upset about that. But this game isn't out till spring of 2018, and honestly, it could be an interesting game, or it could be something that when we see it in spring at some point, we'll give it some more chance. And I wouldn't be surprised if you actually saw some reviews and coverage of this one, since it seems like somebody has some networking and connections. Let's see. Let's see, it's a successor to a game called I Saw Her, which was a web game series that won the 2014 Canadian Video Game Awards for Best Casual Game. Let's keep smashing the face. And I guess it's an action puzzle game about love, death, and pancakes. You and your love are on a world-spanning adventure through graveyard cities and art galleries. Apparently your love is a zombie. Interesting. I kind of liked that movie Warm Bodies, where the guy falls in love, the zombie falls in love with the girl. See, this game says it's gonna have 300 lovingly handcrafted levels, which is gonna be the start. Let's see. And it's designed by the creator of the I Saw Her series, whatever that was, but narrated by somebody from League of Legends, Dead Island Epidemic, Crypt of the Necrodancer, and Torment Tides of Numenera, and then it has an original soundtrack from Coin Crypt and Century Night, and it has 2D art by a team that did Injustice 2. Let's see. This. And then this. I should have hit that one by far. Like, so Injustice 2, Mortal Kombat X, 100-Foot Robot Golf, Skullgirls, Steambirds Alliance, Tasty Town, and Heroes Island of Adventure, and others. So there's actual, like, people that have worked on games before are making this game. And to be fair, if I didn't know that that was the case, I could still call a lot of its low polygon animation in the screenshots as being just asset flips. I mean, they still really just kind of do look like that. But anything cartoony at a smaller scale, particularly when there's no consistency, does kind of just look like an asset flip nowadays. And that's certainly a problem. We wouldn't really even know what the phrase asset flip meant if it weren't for the fact that there's been so many of them, and people, to his credit, for what little I'd love to give him, like Jim Sterling, definitely have been doing a lot of work to point out asset flips. So, I mean, really nothing to say there. I shouldn't have even talked about that one. Next game we have is called Boltzmann Brain, and it's from a developer who hasn't made anything else. It's 20% off for $3.99. That should be the first warning here. Again, this is a slightly more zoomed in camera of 8-bit animation stuff, but it just looks like a student project. Like, there's definitely, in my mind, 4 years at least of experience that all game creators need to have gone through, and all artists need to have gone through. Now, some may argue that if you were going to a college and just getting a business management degree, very little of those classes actually are developing any skill or teaching too much, particularly if you had taken college level classes or very similar classes in high school in the first place. As far as game development and art, and probably music too, there's real experience you need. There's a level of just growing up to. There's a level of understanding what art is and how good it can be. I feel like a lot of these people, if I was just to guess, don't even look at other video games, or they look at something like Far Cry 5, which is a recent game, for example. They look at something like Far Cry 5 and they think to themselves, oh, that's a team that used millions of dollars, and there's no way I, as an independent person, could do that, so I don't even have to try. When that's not the perspective that the end user, the purchaser of your game, is going to look at your game. They're going to look at your game and compare it to Far Cry 5, and if you can't get 3D realistic graphics like Far Cry 5, then you've got to figure out some other system and some other way to intrigue them. And I'm certainly willing to play games that are slightly ugly in graphics, but I'm not willing to play games that look like they were made in 1980. And that's what this looks like. And that's what so many of these games, Boltzmann Brain, see if there's any negative reviews at all. There's 14 positive reviews, which is suspicious. A lot of them for free. That's why at the top it says 8 reviews, and at the bottom it says 14. Man, I guess I am in part happy that I really have no intention of ever trying to make a video game and put it on Steam, or make a video game at all, but I'm also kind of saddened that I wouldn't ever get the opportunity to show up so many of these pathetic attempts that get put on Steam. And really, I just shouldn't see them. If Steam started curating games, if they said Steam Direct was a total failure, you guys were right. We weren't thinking at all. And we're gonna start doing a decent amount of looking at games before we allow them on our store. That would be fine with me. I'd be totally happy with that. And then I could look at games and go, well, this one has something that I know somebody would want to buy. Instead of, honestly, it feels like 90% of the games are not interesting to anybody at all whatsoever. Anybody with a working brain, any realistic thought of any kind of player, the person that plays video games, I don't see any appeal. Next game we have is called Terror Rhythm, parentheses TRRT, rhythm driven action beat 'em up. It's by a developer who has, seems like, 2 games, so this is their second game. It's 25% off for $14.99, and then this is the other problem, is as soon as I looked at the logo for Terror Rhythm here, it looks good. It's positive 88% of 25 users, came out April 6th. It looks good, but then the price is too high. So now I'm watching the trailer, and the animation is unique on top of looking good, which is another certainly good thing. Let's just go ahead and do this. And then this. It's pretty much the same as the... what was the name of that game? There was a stick fighting game I played where enemies come from the left and right screen, and you have to hit buttons left and right to attack the enemies in a rhythmic pace, and they just keep on coming. It had a lot of different weapons and abilities. What was it called? 5-Finger Death Punch or something like that. Terror Rhythm looks a lot like that, although it may have this musical element to it too, which would probably just mess me up. it seems like you're some kind of ninja in a demon mask with a lot of black and red and white colors. In the background looks like it's a like modern, maybe futuristic world. And it seems like you're getting attacked by these black monsters. So I think the game I played that was very similar to this, I think I either got it for free or 99 cents. Maybe I spent $1.99 on it. I don't see why I would want it. It's early access, and $15 is like crazy, crazy, crazy. How, like, it may be doing something different though. That's one of the factors to consider here, is that the music, let's see, you can put your own music in the music library. That certainly is interesting. That would also help a lot with YouTubers if the music that comes with the game gets content ID. There's only 3 negative things. One has 0.1 hour. This game is completely broken for some users. Do not buy until they fix the issues. The game crashes while trying the initial actual gameplay. I'm getting a refund after posting this, and if you bought the game, I advise you to do as well, so it as to not support the practice of releasing broken and completely non-functional games in the store. Let's see. And the other review is long and doesn't seem like it addresses a general issue that many people would have, so I'll ignore that. So the reviews are good, although small, but I would say the reason why they are small is simply because their game just does not, it's too expensive. That's just what it breaks down to. I'm looking at the other game that this developer has made, and it looks kind of like some kind of World of Warcraft in cartoony space elements. What is this tagged as? An RPG casual? Yeah. Let's see. Non-linear. Do this. Let's do this really quickly. In the turn. Yeah, their previous game, which came out September 5th, 2017, had an all-time peak of 26 players. And it's a single player game. It's still reviewed well, and it's the same $14.99. At the very least, if this is a company just trying to make money and not trying to be artsy and do anything great, their company is, by the way, called Evil Co Games, which is not a great name to call your company, as much as you might think. It's a funny joke. Yeah, at least they're making a good product and then asking too much compared to other games that make a bad product and ask too much. Let's see, under Steam's horrible related things, you have something called Box VR, a game called Beat Hazard, a Drum Hero PC for $5. Let's see. Drums Hero PC. It's early access. Came out June 21st. Like, how do you connect drums to Drum Hero? That's the part I don't think you do. There's a game called Rift Racer, Race Your Music. There's Symphony, Intralism, Melodies Escape, Auto Staccato, Quantized. Here we go. One Finger Death Punch right now is the game. It's overwhelmingly positive. 95% of 169 reviews in the last 30 days. It's overwhelmingly positive for everything. It came out March 3rd, 2014, and it's $4.99. And it has 152 Steam achievements, which it's not an achievement game too much around that, but it maybe is a little bit of that. So, One Finger Death Punch looks like it's a lot faster. So I would heavily recommend just buying that game for 1/3 of the price. Like, over buying this new game that's only got that music element to it. That's kind of all it's got for it. I wouldn't be surprised if Trail Rhythm actually got some coverage though, so we might see when it comes out of early access in several years. I'm sure we might see people actually play it and think, okay, well now it works well. Don't need to talk about sales that have already gone. I think I already talked about a game called Dead, but it's came out April 6th. It's 90% of the 10 reviews are positive. It's the second game from this developer. It's 15% off for $4.24. So, yeah, this game called Dead, what does it look like? It's labeled an action game. Yeah, this is the boss rush, like kind of looks sort of like Binding of Isaac, bullet hell shooter type game where you're flying around. Yeah, we already talked about this game. 15% off. Let's see, I had one negative review and it's not in my language, and that's it. So I must have just clicked on the link twice. Let's see. Next game we have is a game called RTS, Real-Time Strategy Commander, Smash the Rebels. It's from a developer called F Games that's made one other game called Voltage. It's 40% off for $4.79. Let's see, force an enemy to destroy those two. Do this. Do this. Do this. And do that. Let's look at this game and see what it is. Well, it's bad graphics. In fact, it's slightly worse graphics, it seems, than what you would have even gotten from StarCraft 1 or Warcraft even. So why would you want to play that game? That's a real-time strategy. It's hard to justify. It has like an all-time peak of 2 people that have played it. Let's see. It says it's single player only, early access. Like, yeah, it looks like it's a cheap attempt to clone like Command and Conquer. Let's see. Let's look at the reviews. It's like, here's a negative review from April 7th. I understand the game only has one level present at the current build, so this will not be factored into the plethora of issues and missing features. The major offenses include the inability to save, game crash, random crashes upon startup. Like, so a completely unfinished game. Why is this allowed on Steam? It doesn't look good in the first place. The publisher, by the way, is not the developer, which so often that is the case. It is the same person. So why is a publisher, which has published a couple of other games, or at least one other game, risking its credibility? I guess the only other game that this publisher has put out is a game called Seasonal Soccer, which has no reviews and came out March 20th, 2016. Wow. No user reviews, and you're talking 2 years have gone. And it is the same developer. Wait a minute. Well, what was the one game that... Oh, they just spelled their name wrong as the developer, and that's why Steam has got it all split together. So, like, fake games. I mean, what can you say? Fake games. We've been going about an hour, which maybe that is the right amount to go. We've still got a ton of stuff to cover. Not too much of it's going to be video game news, though, I don't think. Being Monday, nobody has made any news. Being close to E3, it would be nice for me to get the E3 schedules and try to figure out what, if anything, I'm going to cover. We had PAX East happen. Not a ton of stuff happened for PAX East. Maybe, like, so far I've only seen You Don't Know Jack was announced, and that's kind of it. So this is a good place to wrap up. Stay tuned if you're watching live, of course. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. We'll move over to the European account because we don't need to do this. We can just wait a day and do that on Wednesday. Like, comment, share. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites like Twitter, Tumblr, Google+, Steam, or Battle.net, all of those links are down below in the description box. If you want to support me even further, gift me a game on Steam. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.